Hey everyone, welcome back to Two Idiots Review. I'm Caleb.
I'm Hannah, and we went to Comic-Con yesterday, and we have lots to share and talk about. And we weren't even there the whole day, but it was like an exhausting,
Yeah.
exhausting time.
Just being around, like, there was just so many people
So many
there.
people, so many lines, so many, like, backups where we were literally just trying to walk through place, and then we were just stopped for like 3 minutes because like nobody was moving, and I was like, what is happening? But it was still super fun, and if you ever get to go to any cons in your area, highly recommend it.
It's just, there's so many booths and stuff set up, and there's so many, like, there's not like one single booth where I was just like, man, I wouldn't buy something here. Like, if I had the money to do so, like, I would have bought, like, everything there. Like,
if we had won that $1.6 billion lottery, I would have been like, one of everything. But
it's just like, it's going to, like, like a local, like, fair or like a local, like, swap meet or something, except for every single item is like something that I wanted.
Yeah.
So it was just, so much fun. There's tons of cosplayers. We're going to go over that in a little bit. I was able to take a photo of a few of those that I'll show you guys. We bought a lot of artwork, which we're going to discuss first. It was just a great experience all around, and I would, encourage anybody else to go to a Comic-Con if they can, because it's so much fun.
Yeah, it's a good time. Why don't we talk about, there was an artist, like, alley, where it was tons of fan art and tons of, up-and-coming comic book writers and things that they're trying to, sell and get people interested in.
And then there was even Ryan
Mendiering?
I don't know if I'm saying his last name right, but he works in the visual arts department, I guess, at Marvel Studios, and like he does a lot of the before movies even beginning filming or anything like that. Like, he does a lot of the artwork that kind of shows what the characters will look like and helps design their outfits, like the sceneries, the planets, all that kind of
Lots
stuff.
of concept art.
And and then there was also what was his name? It was Andy Park was also the other one. He's like I don't know if he's like the lead or like
He also works for Marvel and does a lot of that stuff.
Same thing as Ryan Madiering. Yeah, so I bought a lot of his artwork actually. And then I bought some there are some artists that unfortunately I didn't get their name, and I wish I would have. I could have given them credit here. But yeah, I bought some artwork from just, fans that make great artwork, as well as some of the professionals.
Yeah.
But yeah. I guess my first piece, so we're just going to kind of go over some of the ones that I got. I hope you guys can see it. This is the first piece I bought. It was done by Andy Park, and it is like an original concept of Guardians of the Galaxy. So before, obviously, they started filming or anything like that, because Rocket looks kind of weird and Groot looks kind of weird. And Star-Lord's helmet is very different. His hair is like coming out on the top and everything like that. But yeah, so this was he was actually telling a story while I was buying this. He was talking to a few of us that were in line. And, he was just like, Kevin Feige came up to him, which, starting a story like that is just, an amazing story to begin with.
What?
And, he was just kind of talking about, they approach him about, doing these projects and, how his process and everything like that. And it was just very interesting to hear.
The research he was doing, like searching up astronauts and doing certain things, trying to find the right look that he wanted.
Yeah, I believe he said it was like that for Guardians. He wanted it to be like Star Wars meets, I forget what it was meeting.
I can't remember.
But it was like he wanted it to be Star Wars meets something, and then like that's kind of how he came up with this concept. So I bought it because I was like, it's really cool to see something that wasn't accurate to the movies.
Stages.
Yeah, it wasn't something that's like, oh, that's just what I'm familiar with. I'm like, I look at it, I'm like, wow, those characters don't even look like the characters we ended up with, and so I just thought it was really cool to have something from the very beginning.
Yeah. I am a huge Captain America fan. So anything I know, it's so surprising. Anything with him and the Howling Commandos, this was from Ryan Mendiering. Anything with him and the Howling Commandos, I will buy. But yeah, so I thought it was just kind of a cool shot with him out front, and then you got all the commandos hanging out in the back, rushing into battle. Like I said, big Cap fan. We have a bunch I have a bunch of other stuff too that we bought at last year's con. But yeah, so it was just like a really cool shot, I thought. So I was like, and I will buy.
And then this one from Andy Park again. I bought like 3 or 4 of his stuff, so I'm gonna kind of get those out of the way first. Is the concept art that he did for Age of Ultron with Black Widow and Ultrons. It's on like a matted. It's on like a matted piece of paper rather than like the glossy ones that the rest of his that I got were all like glossy, where this is like a matted. So I was like, I thought that was kind of cool. But yeah, I just looked at it and I was like, oh, like I like I'm a big Black Widow fan, and I thought that it was really well done, really well. The composition, everything was really well. So I was like, yeah, wanted to have it.
I was lucky enough as we were walking through the aisles and stuff to come across Lord Mesa, and he has a very big following on social media, and he does a lot of I first came across him because I follow a lot of the Arrowcast on Instagram and social medias and stuff, and they started like sharing his works, so we stumbled across his booth and I bought a mystery bag which came with an 11x17 of the League of Assassins, and then a bunch of these like 8.5x11s with like Arrow and Arsenal, Firestorm, this one which made you laugh, the the Cap and Tony from Age of Ultron. You got Stephen Amell and Cody Rhodes, Thor, Daryl from The Walking Dead, more Stephen Amell and Cody Rhodes, some more Arrow, Cap, and then we end with Arsenal. So there were some really cool things in here, and I was excited to buy. As soon as I saw him, I was like, oh my gosh, Lord Mesa, let's go! Because I know he does a lot of cool stuff, so I was interested. And the hard part was just buying one.
Yeah.
I was like, I will take everything. No, I'll just take one mystery bag. But he was selling just like a bunch of different stuff. You could buy the cards separately or the 11x17 separately, but I thought the mystery bag idea was a really cool idea because I got so much more for my buck doing that than if I was trying to buy a bunch of these separately. But yeah, so I was just super excited to see that he was there and that all of his stuff, 11x17, he signed. So yeah, it was really cool. I was excited to get some of this artwork because I know he doesn't like a lot of stuff, but I like a lot of the stuff that he does for the Arrowverse. So I was excited to pick that up.
And it's kind of cool that it's like in a smaller form with the card and everything, because like some of these posters, I'm like, they're
like,
big enough that I don't know what I'm gonna do with them. Whereas these, I'm like, you could stick them like on your desk at work. You could find places for them because they're nice and small little pieces of artwork. Whereas some of these ones are not going to be as easy to find what to do with. But the next Andy Park one that I got was this scene that he did for concept art for the very first Avengers movie with Iron Man and Loki. The reason why I got it was because I really liked the backlit from like the lights from the Quinjet, and I really liked how that looked and like the style that he used for this particular artwork. And I mean, I could pretty much hear Iron Man saying like, "Make your move, reindeer game." So I was like, if I can hear the scene, I'm like, that's just So yeah, I just thought it was really cool. Like, that's pretty much the main reason why I got it. I was flipping through all the pages and I was just, I saw that the way he lit everything up, and it was just, I was like, I have to have that one.
This one we just came across of just somebody doing a bunch of fan art. We had to get some Game of Thrones. He's a John Smith fan. John Smith. John Smith. Oh my gosh. What? Why would I say John Smith? Pocahontas.
You know nothing, John Smith.
I know. He's a big Jon Snow fan, and I'm a big Daenerys fan. So when we saw these side by side, I was like, yes.
So I mean, we had to
represent our houses.
Which. I mean, while we're on opposite teams, I feel like spoiler coming ahead for the latest season of Game of Thrones, or the most recent season of Game of Thrones, is that essentially our teams have merged and now we're just one team. But essentially,
but I'm still.
But I would still rather see John. Like there can only be one person on the Iron Throne, even if they end up like a couple are married or whatever. That's like gross, I mean, true, but
they're related.
But they don't know that. But anyways, but yeah, so only one person gets on the throne unless they're gonna like expend it to like a little like love seat thing. Iron love seat.
Iron love seat.
But so I would rather see Jon Snow
And I'd rather see
sitting
Daenerys.
on the throne.
But I honestly think that Daenerys is not going to survive this season, which makes me sad. I'm trying to mentally prepare for that. And
well, I just feel like,
wrong.
well, I mean, I feel like one of them is gonna die. I feel like there's no
Yeah.
way that we're gonna get both of them to survive the season. But I feel like Daenerys, like, her story was so removed from everybody else. I feel like they have been setting up this whole thing for her to become queen, and then for her not to become queen at the end and die. I'd be like, what was the point of her whole story? But at the same time, that's exactly what George R.R. Martin loves to do, is just be like, oh, like,
screw you guys.
Yeah, like, make it like, well, but I mean, make it like super realistic to the point that it's like, hey, like, this is war, like, anybody can die, even somebody that I've been setting up this whole time to be queen, and then just be like, no.
But yeah, so I'm mentally preparing for Daenerys to die and just hoping that she doesn't. But I think she will.
But it'll be okay because Jon Snow will get to be king.
No, I hope she takes him down with her. I hope it's Arya. She just kills everyone. It's like, all right, I'm it. But anyways,
I think this is the last one that I got from Andy Park, and once again another scene from the Avengers, which is Iron Man versus Thor when they first meet. An interesting fact, not necessarily about the art, but just about comic book stories in general, is that typically when two superheroes meet for the first time in comic books, they typically fight for whatever reason that may be, even though they're both, quote unquote good guys or fighting on the same side or whatever the case may be. In the comic books, they always seem to fight each other in the first issue that they meet, so I thought it was kind of interesting that they kind of continued that tradition in the Avengers movie when Iron Man and Thor first met, and I just really liked the way this piece looked, so I went ahead and bought it.
and this is the last one because he spent way more money than I did that I bought as far as artwork. Once I saw this,
Patience.
I knew it had to be in my possession. This just reminds me of all the PSAs that he did at the end of Homecoming.
Yeah.
Where he's like,
Patience.
Yeah.
It may lead to a lot. But
so, once I saw that, I was like, yeah, I'm going to take that.
I believe that's a poster scene in the first Avenger
I think so, yeah.
And it's just like it's like a recruitment for like the army or whatever it was.
Yeah,
But
but
I
it
mean, yeah,
reminds
but
me
with
of
the on the
Homecoming.
white background and everything, especially, yeah. It just
All I
totally
needed
looks
him was
that.
be like sitting in the seat.
Putting his foot up on like a desk chair,
Yeah.
like a school desk chair.
And being like, hey guys.
So you found yourself in detention.
Yeah, but yeah, so once I saw that, I was like, and yes, because, again, Cap fan.
And then this one, which has Captain America in it, is I didn't get the artist's name, which I regret now because I kind of wish that I would have gotten all their names and everything, but was just like a fan artist who drew this piece up of Civil War with Iron Man and Captain America fighting. I just thought the composition of it was pretty interesting, with having the back of Captain America kind of in the foreground, and then Iron Man approaching him from up above. And I'm just a big fan of Civil War. We've been saying for the last several days that we were like, I'm really in the mood to watch Civil War. Yeah, we never bought the movie because it came on Netflix rather quickly, and I was just like, oh, it's always been on Netflix.
And now it's not.
And now it's not, so now we're like, oh, we want to watch it, but now we can't. So thanks a lot, Netflix.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to save this one for when I talk about the comic book that I bought. So then the last piece, or, one of the last bits of artwork that I got, I'm actually just going to bring up. You probably should be seeing it now on the video. It's like a really big poster, so I can't just like hold it up because it would be very difficult. It is, this one was Ryan Mandeering.
We don't know if that's
and it is his artwork that he did for Iron Man 1. I don't necessarily think that this was like a concept art because it doesn't look like it. This is just a straight up poster that he just made. And I'm a big Iron Man fan. And so I was looking at all the elements in it, and I was like, it shows all the different stages of him. Like, it has in the very front, it's, the final Iron Man suit from the first Iron Man movie. And then we can see, like, Mach 1, which is, like, that big monstrosity. And then, like, to the left of him is, like, him, like, kind of, like, working on it, where he just has, like, the arm of the Iron Man suit on. And then, like, the biggest thing, which is why I got it, was I really liked, like, around his head is, like, the the arc reactor that said like, this is proof that Tony Stark has a heart or whatever like that. And so I was like, I really kind of like that element within the poster. And I'm a big fan of Ryan Nadiering, and I bought a bunch of his posters last year's Comic-Con, and so I had to go back to his booth and see what I could get this year. And so this is the piece that I picked up. I'm happy with it. I just need to figure out where I'm gonna put it.
We're just gonna have like floor to ceiling
artwork. It's just gonna be just posters everywhere. And like they're gonna be like on the ceiling pretty soon because we're gonna run out of space to put things.
There's gonna be like hanging. But yeah, and then we did each
supported a comic book writer / artists. Sometimes there were two different people doing the artwork and the writing, and sometimes it was just the one person who did both. But yeah, we both found different comic books to buy because we just found them to be interesting.
Yeah.
And
for me, we were like nearing leaving.
Yeah, I think you were done. You're like, I'm not buying anything else.
And then we were just like walking by, and then I was like, what is that over there? And then I was like, okay. So it's based on Edgar Allan Poe's work that they've kind of like adapted and put into this like noir, which I'm a huge fan of, like noir style and that. So that's kind of like what initially drew me to it, was the style of it. It just like some of the stuff inside, it's like all of this like black and white, like cool concept artwork. So, and it's based on I think there's 2 different stories per book, and I have both issues. So I thought it was just like an interesting concept. Poe noir, why not? So yeah.
And it's 2 styles that make sense to go together.
Yeah.
It's not like a very like
where it's
odd,
like they took Edgar Allan Poe and like made him like this like superhero guy,
or like did it like in like a Disney like cartoon style, or something that just wouldn't like mesh well.
It's all like a musical. Like...
but I mean, noir and Poe, I mean those 2 styles I feel like are really complementary of each other.
Yeah.
And so it was a really good idea to do it, and the artwork on it is really well done.
It's really cool, yeah. So I was just like, yes, I will take those. Why not? See, they have a 3rd one he said that they're working on and going to be putting out soon. So, and I'm excited to see kind of like where these stories, what they do and how they continue. Because with each one, they kind of put it in a different like setting in the world, like a world, so it's like this one's set in like 20s like something, and then this one's set, but it's still like that noir style, like, so I don't know, it just seemed like a really cool concept, so I snatched them up.
And then I came across it's a Leg Buzz Juke Joint, and I came across this booth very early on in the day actually, and was talking to both the artist and the writer. And I was like, we kind of discussed it. It's a story about a musician. I guess it's based on like a legend.
Where this musician like disappeared for like he was an musician,
mediocre musician,
but like disappeared for a year and then came back and was like amazing and wrote all this stuff and then like died a year later or something. So it's like that's crazy.
But so. I guess the story goes, at least the way that they are bringing it here, is that like during that time that he was gone for a year, he sold his soul to the devil to become a great musician, and of course that will come with a price.
Yeah.
But so just reading that, I'm not necessarily one to be like I'm a 1930s story about a musician wouldn't necessarily jump out at me as something like I'm gonna go and like. I'm going to go and snatch this up. Like, to me, I was like, I'm sure the story could be fine and everything, but it wasn't necessarily something that would have jumped out to me to the point that I would have bought it.
It would have me. If he hadn't bought it, I probably would have.
But so what kind of made me, I left the booth. I didn't end up buying it right away. I was like, I'll think about it and everything like that. And then at the end of the day, I ended up buying it.
But when we were talking, they were talking about...
Well, I was gonna bring that up because that's the reason why I came back and bought it. And so... I had left, the booth then continued on my day, and then it was towards the end of the day that I came back, and we actually spent like 20 minutes trying to re-find that booth.
I know, we couldn't find
it. To buy it. And the reason that I did was because they actually have a very
interesting concept,
and interesting idea. Let me see if I can find the page here. I've already read all that and it wasn't there.
Oh, wait. It was back in your song.
Yeah, but I don't know if this was the same song that I got.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, that one. I think that's the same one.
But anyways, the concept is that there are certain pages like this.
Where there's, like, music built into the story, like...
Like, because he's a musician, so, like, he's singing the songs that he wrote and everything, and there's, like, little, like, notes and everything, and then, like, the lyrics are on there. And then it came, or it didn't come, but, like, I bought with it an album, which...
It's a companion that goes with the book.
So I believe it was one of them, because the whole series is by C.W. Thayer and Ron Miltz. I believe it was Ron Miltz's one that also wrote the music and the song for the comic book. But so I hope you guys can hear it. I'm going to turn it up.
But so then, yeah, so the concept is that you press play on this while...
And it matches up to what
everything.
Singing.
Yeah. So it's just like an interesting concept that he basically built in like a soundtrack to this comic book.
Yeah, because kind of taking it to a whole new element. Because now you press play, and like he's in the comic book itself, he's performing like a song. Whether it's I haven't read that far ahead yet to see what exactly he's doing, but he's performing this song, and so now like while I'm immersed in this story, I'm now getting to listen to the actual song that he's singing, and probably how he would have sounded singing it, and so like it just adds a whole new element to the comic book genre, and like I just thought that was a really great idea.
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow, it kind of had me thinking about it all day, and I was just like, I kind of wanted to go back, and like I said, it's not necessarily a story that I'm just like, wow, like that story's right up my alley, but I was like, I had to invest in this because I'm like, I want them to succeed because they did such a great job thinking of something like this.
And they're already working on book 2, and he said that he's already written like 5 songs for like the next book. So that's, I think there's like 4 or 5 songs with this one, and then there's like
so I mean you can easily Google this. It's just Lake Boz Juke Joint, or you can even Google, because I did this too, just Inland Blue Comics, and it'll come right up, and you can if you're interested in purchasing it. I mean I would if it's something they're like, well, it actually sounds like an interesting story and something or your children or whoever that you want to and but so yeah, it's really the artwork is well done. They did it in the style of like the 1930s, because like the
20s 30 whatever it is,
because that's when comic books were actually first becoming a thing in this country, was in the 1930s, and so like it has that style to it where it has
it's like very plain, like paint, like it's not like this big.
It has like these little like, I don't know what the technical term is for it, but it's almost like a bubbly kind of like quality to it, and that's how the comics back then had it. And so it's like, this is very the style of the art, the color, the compositions, everything is exactly like the 1930s. And so I'm like, and then they said that each new story they're going to do is going to jump like a generation or jump a decade or whatever it is. So the next one's going to be like the 1940s or 50s or whatever it's going to be.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily going to be a musician every time, but it's going to be about people who are selling their soul to the devil to get kind of like a Ghost Rider type story.
Yeah, well, and then it's kind of like, it's all like connected. So it's all set in the same thing, but it's going to follow different characters who are selling their soul and doing all that. So yeah, it was a very interesting concept.
So I look forward to, I'm going to kind of keep an eye on them for when they release that second book and, and go from there.
But yeah, so another thing, when we first got there was a bunch of panels. There wasn't like a bunch that we wanted to see off the bat, but there was an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. panel, which I feel like you could use that term loosely because it was like 2 characters who aren't even like on the show anymore. But it was Brett Dalton and Mallory Jansen, who was Ward and Ada. But yeah, so we got to watch that, because like the way the LA one is set up, it's not like San Diego Comic-Con where it's like you're in this hall and you have to wait in line, everybody gets to go in and seat. It's like, it's just open, so everybody can kind of see the main stage. So there are seats, but then, you guys all get to kind of huddle around where the seats are, and you get to still watch the panel, which I think is really, really cool, like set up in a really cool, so like you don't have to spend 5 hours waiting in line to see this panel. It's like you can just walk up and be like, oh, hey, cool.
So we're going to show a quick clip here.
That we thought was really funny.
We just thought it was funny, and we're going to go ahead and re-listen to it and kind of commentate on it as well. So here we go.
So they're trying to get her, because she was on Gallivant, so they're trying to get her to sing. So we thought that was just like really funny.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that she was from Gallivant until like she brought it up at the con, and I was like, and so he's
yeah, he's just like furiously like trying to search up the song.
Used to any kind of fighting or stunt training, and honestly, when I think I did my first fight with Mingna, and a lot of the stances.
just sitting there like
his face is just like hilarious because he's like, I'm trying to find it.
And one of the stunt coordinators came up to me and said, you need
starting
to
to lose focus there on where you're filming.
I know, because I kept like holding it, and then I would like be watching, and then my hand would just kind of come, and I'd be like, oops.
Did you really look up lyrics?
Yes. Yes. I'm a determined individual.
How do you want to kick this off, Brett and Mallory? Brett?
He's playing the theme song of Gallivant.
Gallivant, I know, which we watched and was really good, and was sad it was canceled.
That was a really funny show.
He's like trying to find the lyrics.
Oh yeah, this was pretty. This was pretty good.
Richard and nearby king of Wales stand.
I'm kind of enjoying this.
Oh, trial of Apple.
Yeah, he was just doing like a trial. Like he didn't have Apple Music downloaded, so he was just doing like the 30-second clip, and then it was like you have to download.
I don't know about you guys, it's probably the best panel ever.
Which how does he not have Apple Music?
I
If you have an iPhone, like you just.
I want to know from you.
Maybe
obviously,
I mean, yeah, I guess he would.
Put on the suit, becoming madam.
But yeah, so we just thought like we watched the whole thing and we kind of took different videos, but we thought that part was like super funny because he kept trying to get her to sing, and she was just like, no, I don't want to do that.
Which, I mean, I can't really blame him for that. I mean, I wouldn't want to sing in front of a bunch of people either, but
Yeah.
that was pretty much the very first thing we did. Like
Yeah,
we walked in,
we're like, let's
we
go
just went
straight to
to the
there.
center. Like it was right ahead of us. It was like
Yeah.
straight forward from like the main doors that we came in. So we just like walked straight, and then we're like, oh well, these two are doing a panel, so we just kind of just
Yeah, just
stick
kind of
around and watched it. It was,
Beeline for
it
that
was-
before we stopped, but
it was pretty interesting. It was
yeah, they were kind of talking about just, I mean, obviously everything Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
and Little Gallivant.
And yeah, Little Gallivant, and apparently Brett Dalton has a Hallmark Christmas movie coming out. He was like promoting that at the end. But yeah, so it was like a cool thing that we kind of got to see.
And they're like, oh, we get to, we can ask, as many questions as we want. And then, like, they asked, like, 2 questions. Like, okay, well, we're done. And
Yeah,
I was
because
like,
they gave them like such a short amount of time. Like the panel was like 20 minutes, and even Brett Dalton had made a comment like, they've given us like 5 minutes to do this panel, but I'm staying here as long as I want to. So it was like a cool kind of thing. We watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., so it was, kind of cool to see. I kind of miss Ada's character a little bit because I liked her. Ward overstayed his welcome in my opinion, but
well, just because they kind of ruined his character a little
Yeah.
bit. They just didn't know what to do with him
after the fact.
after that.
But yeah, so then we got to, as we were wandering around, we saw a bunch of cosplayers that he took a lot of pictures with. Not so much, but
Yeah, I just kept walking up to people like, hey, I like your cosplay. Can I take a picture? And they're like, okay.
I mean, I feel like which is the point if you dress up, like you have to expect people to come up and want to take pictures. But
so this first one popping up on the screen is Jon Snow.
yeah,
Once
and
again,
as soon as you took that, I was like, "Where is Daenerys? I need a picture."
although last year I took one with Daenerys, and she had like this little
The
fake
little fake
dragon,
dragon, yeah, it
like
was
on her
pretty
shoulder.
cool.
And yeah, that one was pretty cool. But yeah, so I took one of Jon Snow, and then here's me with
Cap.
with just a statue of Captain America.
Yeah, they had like Marvel statues all over like the the grounds. Like as you're walking, it's like, oh, there's a Thor statue. Oh, there's that statue. So that was kind of cool. There's Ant-Man statue. Yeah, there was just like a bunch of them all around. This one, okay, so this guy freaked the crap out of me because we turned the corner and I was like, oh, Cap. But he was standing so still, and like the way he looked like a statue. So I was like, oh, let's get a picture. So I started to walk over, and then he was like, oh, and then he moved, and I like was like, what? He's like, did I startle you? And I was like, yeah, because I thought you were a freaking statue. So yeah.
So I took a picture with him.
Yeah, I was just like, I was like, I need a minute.
And then here's a group of cosplayers. I was just kind of standing around, and there was a bunch of people coming up and taking photos with them. And so I was like, oh, like, you know, Tony Stark, not Iron Man, but just Tony Stark, Scarlet Witch, Captain Marvel, and Spider-Man. And I was like, oh, sure, I'll go ahead and take a picture with them. And then here's a picture of me with the Hulkbuster, and then doing the Robert Downey Jr. pose. Anytime he takes a picture, he always puts his hand out like that, and, you know, as if he's like, you know, shooting a repulsor out of his hand like Iron Man.
So he took a picture with Spider-Man, and then I was like, do the prom picture pose. So yeah, that's that's
yeah, and that's the one that she's talking about.
Yeah, this one where he looks like the creepy uncle that's like coming up and like rubbing your shoulders as he's talking to you. Like that's kind of. I was like, what? I was like, ugh. I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing to him?
And then there's me
shaking his hand.
The Thor statue was like that, and so then I came up and was like gonna like shake his hand.
How do you do, sir?
And then I gotta find that other one. So yeah, so this is Jason.
Freddy Krueger. I don't know. We're not big on horror movies. I mean, I know he's from a horror movie.
Oh, I think it's Halloween actually.
Oh, it might be. Yeah. But so yeah, so he came up and like was pretending to stab him, and I was just like, yeah, let me take a picture. So it's kind of funny.
It's like I didn't even know she had took that until like the end of the day when she was sending me all the pictures. I was looking through it. And I was like, you took one of that guy? Because that's like the guy who went right before me.
Oh, he was like, that's not me.
I was like, who's this? And then.
Oh yeah, and then I took one with the Hulkbuster.
But you're like under it for that.
Well, you know, try to be different. Everybody else was just getting up and like standing next to it, and so
you could have climbed up on its shoulder.
I'm like sitting on the top. They're like, you're not allowed. Please don't do that. And then yeah, there was one of like Katie Cassidy because she was there. She was doing a panel. She's from Arrow. She was doing a panel and a signing. So we kind of got to see as we were walking by. I was like, oh, she's over there doing signings, which was kind of cool because I watch Arrow.
And some of the people from the original Power Rangers.
They were doing I think a 25th anniversary or a 30th anniversary. I don't know. It's been around for a long time.
But they were doing like the signing.
They were doing signing, but then I think they were also doing like a panel or something, which we wanted.
After because we were like we were done.
we got exhausted pretty quickly. Well, I think we were both wearing the wrong shoes, so we got very tired very quickly. But it was super fun. We look forward to it next year.
Oh yeah, I mean we're definitely going to go next year. We've already bought our tickets for D23 next year, so we're hoping, fingers crossed, to get into the Marvel panel that will probably be diving into Phase 4 in the announcement of what movies and what year and month those movies are going to be coming out in.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be insanely hard to get into it. But
we're going to try.
And we're going
to be saving money because I'm sure there's going to be lots of artwork for Marvel, Star Wars, Disney. Like, there's just going to be so much stuff I hope I win the lottery before that.
So, I know. It's like, I spent way too much money on this, so if you feel like, sending us some money so I, pay off my loan shark guy, that'd be great.
Please send us money so we can buy more stuff.
Like, outside our door, the guy with like a golden tooth and he's like flipping a coin right now.
That's just our neighbor. But yeah, so we had a good time. We hope you guys enjoyed seeing our LA Comic-Con experience.
And if you went to this Comic-Con or another Comic-Con or whatever,
let us know. Let us know what you do, what you like,
and
what stuff you bought.
What was different? Like, who was there? Did you see anybody?
Yeah.
Were there any kind of panels? I don't know if you could post photos in the comments, but
I don't think so. But if you follow us on Instagram, tag us if you're posting pictures of stuff that you did at Comic-Con or something. Tag us.
Or Facebook, I believe you can post photos directly to our wall.
Yeah.
So if you follow us on our Facebook page, or if you don't, please, it's going to be in the description of this video.
Yeah. So Instagram, Facebook. Let us know what you guys saw. What if you got to. If you did photo ops
or if you cosplay yourself.
Yeah, please let us know. I think that's it. Thank you guys for watching.